Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. We're gonna move that out of the way. Can I just say we're gonna explain today, going into today's episode. I think it's kind of fitting, to be honest, but today has been a wild ride. Today's been quite a day. It is currently 7:12 p.m. on Saturday, and I wanted the third episode for this week. If you haven't been following along, I had the plan to put up 3 episodes this week as like a little holiday special situation. I wanted a little more this week. I meant to put up the third episode yesterday, but I hadn't. Yesterday came and went without me recording. I was going to record on Thursday, and then I was like, okay, no, I'll do it tomorrow. Bad mistake on my part. I didn't record Thursday, and then I didn't record Friday, and now here it is, 7 p.m. on Saturday, so I'm basically going to be recording this episode, editing, and uploading to, get the 3 episodes up this week. I really thought I wasn't going to be able to do it, and it just wasn't sitting right with me. I literally had to have Julian send a talk voice memo text thing on how to take down his camera, because if I used another camera, which I had set up on the tripod, in the process broke said tripod. I broke this little piece. I don't know if it's important or not. I don't really know what it does, to be honest. I already broke it to begin with, and now I completely broke it. It's destroyed. It's a little piece. I think it's holds the camera a little more steady where it goes, but don't quote me on it. Literally, Julian texted me and was like, if you break the tripod, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, I think I did. Which, like I said, the piece was already broken by me, and I literally just broke it even more. But I set up another camera that I was going to use to record, and then I realized that the cord that normally I would use for my laptop into Julian's camera was not the same cord that I needed on the other camera. So I was like, okay, I set this whole thing up, and now how do I use it? I am not a tech-savvy person like Julian is, so I needed the help. So he was like, you have to download this whole thing, and I was like, okay, well, that's too much. Maybe I'm not recording. If that's the case, I don't know. I was not into doing all that to get it done. I was like, that just seems too much, because even if it pops up, what if I do the wrong thing? So he told me how to take down his camera. I set this up. If you watch here on YouTube, I set this whole thing up myself. Does it look like how it normally looks? I have no idea. Is it good? I think it's pretty good. Could it be better? Probably. But could it also be worse? Absolutely. So honestly, in retrospect, I think I did a pretty decent job with circumstances. Normally, Julian at least sets up the camera angle for me, and I set up everything else. But today I did it literally all on my own. I've always been scared to take down his camera from where he has it on his desk, because I always thought I'd break it. Now that I know I won't, I'm not even going to say that. Now that I know I won't, that makes things a little better, but I don't know what's going on with this tripod situation, considering, like I said, I completely broke the piece I already broke. When I say it like that, it sounds awful. But anyways, so that was one aspect for the day. Earlier today, I'll go into a little story time before we go into this episode. We put JJ down for a nap earlier. We ran to Target to go grocery shopping. Julian had a car situation, so he was waiting for that to be done. He came to Target with me, which made it a little easier because I had JJ. Obviously because we had JJ. We went to Target to go grocery shopping, and then we came home, and it was way past JJ's nap time. I thought I would go shopping, come home, take a nap, but we had a whole other thing in between that was unplanned, which pushed a couple things back today. So by the time we went grocery shopping and came home, it was literally 1, 2 p.m. but he was getting a little cranky, irritable, like he just needed a nap. So we put him down for a nap, and I went down to the car to get my purse. When I left, JJ was, he was in his crib, quiet, but he was just sitting there, and then he finally like laid down and started to fall asleep. I went down to my car to grab my purse. That's all I went down for. Went down, got my purse, came back upstairs. 10 minutes max, if that. Julian FaceTimes me, and I was literally at the door of the apartment, and I come inside, and I don't even know what was happening in the meantime. Julian's face looked at me like a deer in the headlights. He was holding JJ. JJ was just shaking and screaming and freaking out. I was so confused. I don't know what was happening. Turned out like he was having like I don't know if you know what it is, a night terror. Babies will have night terrors. I was Googling it because personally I didn't completely know what it was to begin with. So I was Googling it afterwards. But basically, JJ was holding Julian, but not really like responsive. He was shaking because he was so scared. He was on and off screaming, like on the top of his lungs, screaming like he was terrified. And it was like a moment where his eyes were open, like he was awake, but he was still sleeping. Like he wasn't blinking. He wasn't responsive. He didn't know what was going on. He was sleeping with his eyes open, basically. It was the scariest thing I've probably ever seen because I took him and was like cradling him and rocking him and whatever, and he had to like sit there and basically wake himself up, if that makes sense. Like we didn't really know he was awake until he started having a little more eye movement, blink, like, because he was on Julian at first, and I was looking at him and I was telling Julian not to move, and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, he's not really blinking, like his eyes are open. He wasn't really looking around, like it was just a straightforward stare, but his eyes, like he wasn't blinking, like he wasn't responsive to looking at anything. And I was like, that's really weird. So I was like, I think he's honestly still sleeping, but I've always been told like not to wake like a sleepwalker, like not been told to like, or been told to like not like wake anyone up like that. So I was like, he kind of just has to like wake himself up. And it was the weirdest thing. I Googled it afterwards, and I realized that it was a situation that could have lasted a really, really long time. It said that like night terrors can last up to like 45 minutes to like 90 minutes, it said. Luckily, he was only like this for like 10, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops. But I was holding him and like bouncing him in the living room, and Julian was looking at him and talking that like he was looking around a little more with his eyes, blinking a little more, moving his hand to like rub his eyes, so he was kind of waking up. But he was holding on to me so tightly. I was like, oh my God, buddy. And he was like sweating, so like the side that his head was on my shoulder was like, it felt like wet and damp because he was sweating so bad. It was probably the scariest thing I've ever seen, because the way he was screaming and like shaking and freaking out and everything, I was like, oh my God. And then to realize like during all that, like his eyes were open, but like he was kind of like still asleep, kind of like freaked me out. But that was also a whole situation that happened earlier. So basically he's been a little cranky and stuff today because he didn't really nap, because after that he tried to fall back asleep, but he never really like fell back asleep, so he kind of didn't really nap today. But that was a whole other situation within itself that was really scary, really crazy. But it did say that when they like wake up and everything, they tend to sometimes not remember the dream or anything about what had happened. So he seemed to be okay. So we'll see how tonight goes when he goes to sleep. But now like any like cry, whimper, like anything during the night is going to freak me out, because I'm going to think like something's happening now. It's just going to keep me on my toes for a little bit until I know like he's good, he's sleeping, he's fine, until the morning. Like, and he starts to cry and it's morning time, like he's probably just awake. But whew, that was a bit crazy for me. I like wanted to cry myself because I was so scared and like freaking out, but definitely nothing I've ever seen or experienced before. I am one to sleepwalk as well. I definitely slept walk a good amount of times when I was younger. Like even as like in like teens and whatnot. So hopefully that doesn't happen much with him. We'll definitely have to like watch as he grows up. Julian's mom was saying that Julian used to do it all the time, like the sleep terrors and all this stuff. He would sleepwalk as well, so we'll see what happens. But that, I'm telling you, was a crazy experience. Yeah. Anyways, hello, welcome back to another episode. Streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcast, or we are here on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk podcast. So this is episode 3 out of the 3 episodes that I'm posting this week. I'm really excited. I'm really happy that I actually am here recording it, gonna be uploading it for you guys. I was actually really, really, really scared that I wasn't gonna fulfill this. I was just gonna post 2 out of 3. And then, if anything, like, I probably would have just posted it tomorrow, but it wouldn't have been the same because it's not the same week. But, yeah. But we are here recording it. This episode, or not this episode, this topic for this episode is another one I found from another podcast. I think the last episode was the 26, like, questions, deep dive into yourself type of situation. Was from the Trying Not to Care podcast I had found. This is another episode. Oh my God, I keep saying episode. This is another topic I found from that podcast. I marked it so I, like I said, could give credit to where credit is due. I found it from them as well. This is another one where I found like the topic from them. I haven't heard their episode. I didn't listen to it. I just kind of thought when I read the title of like their episode, I was like, and then like I click on it and I read the description to kind of get like a glimpse of what they'd be talking about in little mini topics within the topic, if that makes sense. So I thought it was very fitting because I'm going to actually try to, I don't know, it might take me a while to find it, but I'm going to talk while I try to find it. Let's see if I can multitask. I thought it was interesting because I do remember in the description, I wanted to say bio, but I don't think it's called a bio on Spotify. I was reading the description and it was talking about being emotional and showing emotion pretty much and being sensitive and all this stuff, and I was like, if that ain't me. I clearly can't multitask because alright, hold on. I'm gonna find this episode and read the description. 1 second. Okay, so the episode they have is called Maybe I'm Too Emotional. It's episode 55 on the Trying Not to Care podcast. It says, the description says, listen to this if you've ever been told you're too sensitive or too emotional. This one is for my besties who feel too much / feel as if they are too much. In today's episode, I talk about the heaviness that comes with being an emotional person, my struggles with having deep emotions, and why being too emotional was in like quotations, isn't a bad thing. I kind of related to this because I am a type of person that actually struggles with this. I definitely am, I would say, like, I would put myself, like, I've been told I'm sensitive and too sensitive, but I would honestly tell myself that I'm a very sensitive person. I don't know. It's hard because I feel like I hate people saying that I'm too sensitive of a person or too emotional of a person so they can't come and talk to me about certain things because, I don't know, like, they tell me, like, I'll feel too much or, like, it'll be too much for me. I am a sensitive person, but I don't want that to like stop people from being able to tell me anything. I mean, yeah, it might be too much for me, but like it's one of those things where it's like if you want to tell me or like you need to tell me, like don't let my emotion of what's going to come out of this stop you from having that conversation. Or like if people like have to tell you things and they have to like tiptoe around either how to say it or like something along those lines, I feel like that's like too hard on them. Like I might have some attachment to what you're saying and like find it like be really sensitive about it, but like I said, I don't want it to like stop you from like saying anything. And I don't know, like I want you to have to say like whatever you say or like want to say or have to say. There's always a way to say something. Like I'm a human. I'm a human being. I have emotion. I am one to show emotion. The one emotion I definitely do show the most is crying. That's definitely one of my things where it's like I'm happy, I cry. I'm sad, I cry. I'm nervous, I cry. I'm anxious, whatever. Like earlier, that's why I said the stories that I had to start this episode were like perfect for this episode, because I was like, wow, my son is literally freaking out. So, well, he wasn't freaking out. I was freaking out. He was like having a moment. Like he was having like, I don't want to say a bad dream, because I did, when I Googled it, it did say that night terrors and nightmares are not the same thing. But it does say that they could be having a night terror because of a bad dream. So like it's kind of, I don't know if that makes sense. Like it's like, it could be a cause, but it's not. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that. But he was having his night terror and I was freaking out because he was kind of freaking out in Julian's arms, like shaking so bad and like holding on so tight and screaming and all this stuff. And it's one of those things where it's like he's too young to talk. Like doesn't talk much yet. So he can't like when he wake up tell you what happened or tell you what's going on. So it's one of those things where you're just sitting there and like you don't know what to do because you don't know what's going on, if that makes sense. So I'm over here when I'm holding him like wanting to cry because he's still freaking out. He's not screaming. He wasn't screaming when I was holding him, but he was, I'm telling you, holding on to me so tight. Like he thought I was going to like drop him or like lose him or something. Like I've never had him hold me so tightly and sweating so badly that like I knew, like that's when you know something is wrong. But in that moment it was like what can I do? Like there's not really anything I can do. The only thing I can do right now is like calm him, like kind of talk to him, and like when he wakes up hear my voice type of situation. But like in the moment, like we thought he was awake, and to find out kind of that he wasn't, it was like, oh my god, like what do I do? Like he needs to wake up, but I can't wake him up, he won't wake up type of situation. So it was one of those things where like I wanted to cry because I was like, oh my god, like my baby type of situation. And I was like, what do I do? And as I'm sitting there, it's like the only thing you can do is hold him, but then you feel like it's not doing enough. So like I said, it was a crazy time. But I don't know, like I feel like it's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay to like feel the things you're feeling. My struggle is that I do take a lot of things to heart, even when I shouldn't. I know some of the things I do I shouldn't be taking to heart. It should be one of those things that kind of like reflects and like bounces off of me, but I do in the moment take a lot of things to heart. I don't know, I can't help it. It just kind of happens. It's one of those things where it's like like I kind of prepare myself too, if that makes sense. Like I know I'm going to take a lot to heart. So I kind of prepare myself knowing like, okay, they don't mean it like this, or they're not going to say something in this way. This is just how I'm going to perceive it right now. Not that it makes it a little easier, but at least I can kind of guide myself on taking it in the moment, and then kind of like seeing how I react to it. I know is the way I react and what I do about certain things is what matters. Like if someone tells me something, how I kind of react, whether it's good mood, bad vibe, like grudge type of situation in the moment. It's really difficult because, like I said, sometimes I know that it's not supposed to be taken in that way, or it's not trying to be said in that way, but I take it in said way until my mind finally like reaches the point where I've gone over it 900 times in my head and I'm like, okay, this is actually what they meant. This is what they wanted to say. I don't have to take it this way. I don't take it to heart. It was just either their opinion or their story or something they had to tell me. Especially if it doesn't affect me or doesn't have to do with me, like I shouldn't be taking things in certain ways. I feel like it also, this is going to sound really bad, but it depends on the mood I'm in at the time, because obviously if I'm in like a bad mood, I'm going to take things way worse than they were ever meant, and I know that. If I'm in a good mood, I definitely am better at receiving talks, advice, whatever. So as bad as that sounds, like I know it's what's true. It's what I do. At least I like kind of know myself enough to know that that's a factor in these things. I don't know. It's showing emotion, I feel, is a weird thing, because I feel like it's okay to want to cry. Like, I'm telling you, before I started this episode with trying to set everything up and figure out how everything was working, how to take this camera down. Honestly, at first, when I set up this camera and plugged everything in, it's been doing this thing where my OBS, I swear, doesn't like me. It doesn't like me to use it. It doesn't like me in general. It's been glitching. It's been doing that thumbs up thing. Knock on wood. I don't have any wood over here. Is this wood? Let's hope so. It's been doing that thing where it has like the thumbs up emoji in the bubble. It hasn't been doing it the last couple episodes, but hopefully I didn't just jinx it in this one. But also, I set it up, like I plug everything in and I go to turn on the camera, press the button I have to use to like put it on my screen, whatever, and I'm just staring at a black screen. Like, it's not, the camera is on, but like it doesn't turn on. I don't even know if that makes sense. It doesn't turn on my laptop. Like, it doesn't connect. I should be able to see myself, if not at least the wall behind me, because that's where it's like set up to, and I just sets up with a black screen. Honestly, if I didn't see Julian do what he did the last time this happened, because he had to come and help because I had no idea what I was doing, I don't know if I'd be recording this episode right now. And luckily, by the grace of freaking God, I swear, we got it all set up. So I literally that's so annoying. I literally jinxed it, because right after I talked about it, it did the stupid bubble thing. I jinxed it. I'm scared to like say anything else during this episode. I can't have that happen. But I swear I wanted to cry, because I was getting so overwhelmed and like frustrated with myself and everything that was going on and happening. But that's just, like I said, the only emotion I swear I show, because every state of feelings just makes me want to cry. But I feel like to want to cry, to end up crying, to be mad about something, I feel like there's a lot of things, like if you want to be upset about something, but someone comes, upset or hurt, I would say, and like someone comes and says like, oh, you shouldn't feel bad about that, or oh, it shouldn't upset you the way it's upsetting you. I feel like that's honestly kind of a slap in the face sometimes, because I feel like other people shouldn't be telling you how you're supposed to feel about something. Everyone feels things differently, and if someone ends up feeling either really hurt or really sad or really mad or really upset about something, I feel like you don't really have the right almost to kind of tell them that it's not that deep, it's not that bad. I don't know, like they could be connecting it to an instance you either know nothing about or didn't think about or relate to, and that's why it's hitting them a little different than it's hitting you. I feel like it's okay to show that things are really bothering you. in a way that they're not bothering someone else. I feel like if someone is saying like, oh, you shouldn't be that upset about it, or it shouldn't, like, you shouldn't be that mad about it, it's, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like you just have to feel how you're feeling in the moment. Yeah, it might breeze by. Yeah, it might be just time and place situation. But you shouldn't really think about what they're saying to you, because you're just going to feel how you want to feel. I feel like it's okay to want to show those feelings. It's okay to have those emotions. It's okay for someone to say you're too sensitive or being too sensitive about it. I feel like I've come to terms with being okay with the fact that I am probably, I would say, hands down, the most sensitive person you'll ever meet in your life. I'm one of those people that will sit there and like cry during movies and during like commercials and stuff like that. Like, that's just how I am. I know someone will probably sit there and be like, okay, this movie isn't that sad, or that commercial wasn't that sad. Like, why are you crying? I will have tears in my eyes. I recently just finished, I don't know if I said it in the last episode. I feel like I've said it recently. I started binge watching the Summer I Turned Pretty movies. They're streamed on Amazon Prime because I just finished the book series. So my intention was to finish the book series and then start the movies. So that is exactly what I did. And there was a time in, honestly, I don't know what episode it was, but there was a time in it, I don't want to have any spoilers, so I'm not going to explain much, but in one of the episodes, there was a really, like, big hit in it. Like, there was a, I don't want to say plot twist, but, like, there was a big scene where all of a sudden, like, something was brought up, something was said, something was found out between the family, and it was really, really sad and upsetting. When I tell you I was sitting there watching it with tears in my eyes. Oh my God. I'm surprised I didn't bawl like a baby, if I'm being honest. It was so crazy and kind of really heartbreaking that I'm surprised I wasn't, like, tears weren't streaming from my eyes. I did get very watery eyes. Tear or two might have fell, but I'm surprised I wasn't, like, sobbing. It was so sad. Back to feeling how you want to feel. I feel like it's always thought that if you showed that you were either, like, too emotional or too upset, like, got too upset over something, you were just being, like, too soft of a person. Like, you know, when someone says, like, you're too soft, like, that shouldn't have upset you like that. It's always a big deal. And that just goes back to not everyone feels the same way you do. And I don't know, like, it's okay. I feel like I just keep going back to saying it's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel what you want to feel. I am definitely one that's probably too soft of a person. Like, I am a soft female. Like I said, take a lot to heart to begin with. So never mind. It's one of those things where, like, you can tell me, oh, don't take this personally, or, oh, don't take this like this. Like, I'm going to take it pretty damn hard, to be honest. I'm going to take it to heart like no other. It's probably going to make me cry. But I don't know. I will admit it's one of those things where I tried not to be a sensitive person. I tried not to show that something either upset me or hit me really hard or hit me really bad. But I have, like I said, I've come to terms with the fact that it is okay. I'm not going to hide the fact that something either hurt me or upset me or anything, because I feel like there's no point. I feel like, why hide it? Plus, I'm also a type of person where even if I say one thing, my face says another. Like, you can definitely read every emotion that I have on my face. So that's also why I tend not to hide anything, because I could be saying one thing, but the look I'm giving you is completely different. So at that point, like, you already know I'm lying or not telling you the truth. So when that's the case, there's really not much I can do but either show my emotion or say it right off the bat, because like I said, you're gonna see it regardless on me. So there's no point in trying to either give you an explanation or explain why my face looks the way it does. So I don't know. I think that, I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's you feel how you feel, you show it how you show it. No one can really say too much about it. I don't know. I don't really know how to direct this episode. Like, this is one of those things where it's like to each their own type of situation. I want to go back and listen to episodes that are like this. I feel like this isn't obviously the only podcast that has that episode. The Try Not to Care podcast. I feel like I have seen this episode in other ones when I tried to look through different podcasts that I found. I want to go through and listen and see what they had to say or what other people went through, because I'm really intrigued by this, on whether or not people either show their emotion or try to hide it and put it on, like, I don't want to say a back burner, but like kind of let it out when they're alone or when they're with no one else, or when they're only with certain people, that they let them see their like full side of them or that side of them full emotion wise. I'm very intrigued onto, I don't know, like if men and female are the same with this. Like, I feel a lot of men tend to not, like, they say they don't care about much and they tend to show that they don't care about much, or that some things aren't as upsetting as like a female takes it. I wonder if there's like podcasts out there that are hosted by men, and they talk about this. I didn't even think about that before that. I'm really gonna do some research into this, because now I'm very intrigued. But basically the moral of what I'm trying to say is, have your emotion, show your emotion. It's okay to do or to show however you're feeling. Yeah. I guess that's really all I have to say for this. It kind of all comes down to the same thing, which is what I just said. But now you know I'm here. I'm an emotional girly. I'm a sensitive girly, but I've been okay with that. Like I said, don't think it's necessary to hide anything, so I just kind of show everything. And I feel like it's going to tend to come out anyways, so I'm not going to sit and wait until I have the time to sit by myself and cry. If it's going to happen in the moment, it's going to happen in the moment. It's one of those things where, honestly, once you get a lot out, it's going to make you feel better, so you might as well feel better quicker, if that makes sense. But anyways, I guess with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to my little rant on this one. I definitely jinxed this episode because that stupid bubble thing has popped up twice. If you're watching, I hope you enjoyed it, because it's probably in this. If you're an audio listener, thank you guys for listening on whatever platform you are streaming on. But I love you guys so much. I'm really happy I got 3 episodes out for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Try to tell me in some way, shape, or form your feedback on the episodes this week, with the fact that I had 3, or even each episode in general. But I love you guys so much, and I'll see you back on Monday with a brand new episode. Bye.